Congratulations everyone on surviving, by the way. We're back after dinner. I'll probably start to get sleepy after about 15 minutes, so just let me know if I do. I'd like to thank everyone who's made it possible for me to be here today. It's really special. The relationship with the Whale Museum in Húsavík has been remarkable, and seeing the transformation has just been incredible. And coming back to Húsavík today after quite a few years of being away, and seeing how the town has changed as well is just incredible. So there are weird kind of Twilight Zone parallels between what's been going on here and what's happened in London, even though the museum in London of course is so much bigger and has a lot more people visiting. The way that we've been thinking about how we present ourselves and our audiences and a whole range of different things, the science that we're involved in, there are parallels. So what I'd like to do this evening, with your permission, is to go through and basically outline a little bit about who we are at the Natural History Museum, because it's incredible with these science collections which exist in national museums around the world, not just in the UK, how little knowledge there can be amongst scientists, students, you know, that we're there and that we're a resource. So I'd like to talk about who we are, the changes that we've made in the past couple of years, where we're going as a Natural History Museum, and how the collection has been built, the Cetacea Research Collection, and just basically to put it on the map for you, because you never know, it might be important in your research at some point in the future. So that's basically what I'd like to do. It should be really interesting, it should be fascinating. So, is that, no, I won't drink from that. I'll drink from this. Okay, so the Natural History Museum, first of all, I always do this. How many people, apart from you two, I know you've been there, how many people have been to the Natural History Museum in London? That's a fairly good percentage. And when was your latest visit? Have you seen Hope? Put your hand up if you've seen the blue whale in Hissy Hall. So not too many. So you've seen the dinosaur that used to be in place? Yeah, okay, alright. We'll say no more about that. Okay, so the Natural History Museum in London. This is the public face. This is what people see as they approach the place. It's a wonderful spectacle. It's actually a huge site, an enormous site. It covers a vast area, and we were actually part of the British Museum. We opened in 1881. The natural history collections at the British Museum had grown and were pushed into basement spaces. They started to deteriorate. They were always considered to be of lesser value than the antiquities. And so our first director, Richard Owen, pushed very hard to have a building created. So it was opened in 1881. The collections were transferred from the British Museum in Bloomsbury. We had a legal separation from the British Museum in 1963. We formally renamed ourselves the Natural History Museum in 1992, which is the year that I joined, no connection. And we are a publicly funded national museum, and we don't charge an admission fee. We're free at point of entry now. That's actually one of the reasons why I'm proud to still be working at the museum, because in London it's very difficult to find anywhere where you can take your family or go yourself on a day out and not pay at point of entry, at least. So something to be quite proud of. What we've been doing in terms of the infrastructure at the museum over the past 20 years, we've created all these new areas. This is the new Darwin Centre development. This is Darwin Centre 1, which opened in 1999. It's for the zoology collections, 27 million specimens, mostly stored in alcohol, 80% alcohol. It's poisoned, so it can't be drunk by the curators, on order from the Treasury in our government. This is Darwin Centre 2, which holds the entomology and botany collections. Also lots of new gallery spaces and public interfaces. This area here is the Angela Marmont Centre, which is an area where the public can go and take specimens that they want to identify. So there are collections there which are accessible, there are ID guides, there are scientists on hand that can answer questions, and it's a very popular space. We are the UK's National Museum of Natural History. We are a world centre of scientific excellence in taxonomy and biodiversity. That's the heart of all the work that we do. Our research collection is around about 80 million specimens. We say that. We've not counted them all. We've got a rough idea. It's about 80 million. And this is across the former science departments: zoology, paleontology, botany, entomology and mineralogy. We have around about 300 members of scientific staff actively involved in field work and collections-based research at the museum, which a lot of people don't realise. Certainly the public don't realise this. There are more than 5 million visitors annually to the Natural History Museum, and those of you that have visited have probably been there on a day when it was fairly busy. Long queues, lots of people inside. We're the 4th most visited tourist attraction in the UK, which is quite an incredible thing. So our website now, it's come on in leaps and bounds, and you'll hear more about it later on, but we get around about 500,000 unique visitors to the website every month. Our online data portal, which contains millions of these digital specimen records, research data sets, 3D scans, images, audio recordings, it's part of the digitisation initiative that we've got at the museum, which started about 5 years ago, to digitise our collections, to liberate data for research and for public access. And it's mass digitisation of the collections that can be easily digitised in a mass way. The flat things, the small things, the beautiful things, the botany sheets, butterflies. When you start talking about whales and dolphin skeletons and elephants and all the other things that we have in the zoology collection, it starts to be rather more problematic. But this is the front end. I don't know if anybody's used the data portal. The data portal that we have at the museum, on the museum's website, you can search by geography, through taxonomy. There's a whole variety of different ways that you can search for information that relates to specimens and data which are in our collection, and it's incredibly popular. It's growing in its popularity all the time, and we're adding to it thousands of records every month. Of course, we do digitise the lumpier, bigger, more difficult things, and this is something I'll talk about in a little bit, but this is actually a fully digitised 3D model which is online of our blue whale skeleton, part of the Cetacea research collection. It's actually being pushed out through the Sketchfab platform. You can manipulate the data online. You can request a digital download of high resolution data for this specimen, which is obviously valuable for research purposes, and that has proved to be very popular. And we've begun to trial digitising parts of our Cetacea research collection, primarily to generate data for a few of our PhD students who are working with us at the moment. So this is a project that I set up early last year, to work through these species and to digitise the crania that you can see. It was expensive. It cost over £10,000 to do this work, and it took over 3 months to complete the work, because you can imagine that with some of these larger skulls, to get access to the underside, you have to have a removals crew on hand with cranes to lift them. So we're learning an awful lot about what digitisation of research collections actually means as we do this work. We also have, as part of the data portal, the repository, which is where publications from our scientists in the field engaged in all kinds of research, they go into the repository, and again they're searchable, they're accessible online. The narratives that we have, the 3 strands basically that we kind of organise our research around, are about to change, of course. They're about to change because the Smithsonian has stolen our Director of Science, which is probably a good thing for them. It is a good thing for them. Maybe not a good thing for us, but we're about to review our science strategy. So the narratives are about to change, but certainly for the past 8 years, they've been about origins, evolutions and futures, about biodiversity and sustainability. These are, as I say, these are the narratives that we hang our research off. We also have the ability more and more to produce, I would say, world-class temporary exhibitions, because the museum has decided, and this may surprise you, to use its own resources, to use its own scientists, to use its own staff, to use its own collections, instead of buying in exhibitions from outside, and instead of buying in consultants from outside. We use what we have in-house, and recently we produced the fabulous Whales Beneath the Surface exhibition, which was a project that I worked on for 3 years. One of the other really successful exhibitions we've had recently was about venom, and the in-house research that's been done looking at venomous species. Now, this is the thing, this is the terrible thing. What do people generally think of when they bring to mind the Natural History Museum? What is the thing that pops into their minds? And of course, it is this. I've never been a fan, personally. And I think this has been recorded, and it'll probably get back to my colleagues in paleontology.